Welcome back, my fellow Aeternians. As always, it's me, Emperor AP, and today I wanted to talk about an interesting topic, but first, let me adjust my camera. Okay, perfect. Let me know if everybody can hear me all right, and if the stream quality is going well. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about how micronations are RPG adventures in real life. I have friends all the time, and I know many of you do, who go to things like Renaissance fairs, who play things like Magic the Gathering, or who like to cosplay and go to conventions and anime conventions, or dress up as their favorite characters and those sorts of things. And one of the biggest complaints that I have heard from my own friends and from people online about these sorts of events is that there is a hard limit on the amount of immersion that you get and the amount of ability each person has to fully commit to those roles and those settings. So, for example, at Renaissance fairs, people may be dressed up in costumes, and some may role play a little bit, but that is very quickly dismissed when it comes to people who are selling things, vendors, when it comes to purchasing food, when it comes to doing activities. The limit in a lot of these places as to what that role play environment is like. And the same thing for anime conventions. People were dressed up in costumes, but people aren't necessarily trying to commit to the world of that anime. And those that are may be off-putting to some because it's not defined as that sort of environment. It's a mix of all these things. And that's wonderful. But micronations are fundamentally different. And that's the thing that's so beautiful about it to me. And that's the opportunity for us to do something wonderful. Toxicity says RPG adventures. It's good to see you, Toxicity. Thank you for being in the chat. And if you can, like the video. Yes, RPG adventures. So that stands for role-playing game, right? RPG is the concept of being in a game and dressing up as a character and going on some adventure that is not related to how you normally live your life. The wonderful thing about micronationalism is you're creating this culture and this world and this government, this environment for yourself and your community, and you're doing this with real legitimate purpose. So it's not a role-playing game because it's not a game. You are playing a role in the sense that you are creating this new culture, you're creating this new environment, you're creating this thing that is fundamentally different, like if someone stepped into a fantasy or RPG world, but the fact is it's real life. You're actively creating an entirely new culture, an entirely new society that is not based on fantasy, that's not based on role-playing in the sense of imagination, but role-playing in the sense of changing who you are fundamentally to adapt to this new society that you're creating. And people, when they experience that, when we've gone to talk to other people about micronationalism and about Aeternia, they are awestruck. They're completely taken aback by, hold up, you're creating an entire country. You're doing something entirely different. You're hoping for a different culture, different society. What does that mean? How does that look? It's confusing to people, but it's incredibly inspiring. And I think people fall in love with that the more that they get to see it. That's why so many people love places like Molossia and like Sealand and like Slowjamistan now, where they're all doing these things that are very, very showy. They, have these buildings, they have these places that show off their culture and their society, and people can step into a different world, a different life for a few moments and get to experience what it's like to be a Molossian or a Slowjamistani or whatever, or a Sealander. So for us, Aeternia and micronationalism is about showing that experience to the world, not only as, look at how crazy and wild this is, come and bring your interest, come and pay money to see all our tourist events and all these things, but also that this can fundamentally change a person's life, that, you can live a different way and have an entirely different set of norms from what you're used to, simply by designing and creating this thing. It's hard work. It is dedicating your life to an entirely different way of living, which is incredibly difficult, but it is real, it is raw, and it is the most intense, amazing RPG-like adventure you could ever possibly go on. There are these people who, all the time online talk about, oh, I wish I got my letter to Hogwarts. Oh, I wish I was whisked away to be a Pokemon trainer, all these different things. And they crave that start to the adventure. They want, to be told that they're the chosen one, or that they have special powers or special abilities, and that they can live their life, in a magical forest, blending up herbs and making potions and all these sorts of things, or going off and fighting dragons and wizards and all these sorts of things. While we may not be able to do that, we can fundamentally change what our lives are like. And we can still go on these amazing adventures and meet new people and have fundamentally different ways of experiencing the world by creating a culture that is uniquely our own. If there's something that you feel like inside yourself you want for who you are as a person, for what it is that is inspiring to you or that makes you feel more yourself, and you don't feel like you can show that to the world, you don't feel like you can dress the way that you want, you don't feel like you can act the way that you want, you don't feel like you can engage in the right games or the right activities in what you would like to do because society is different, you can build a society for yourself. Now, that's not something that is everybody's forte. That is not something that everybody is interested or capable in doing. But that's why micronations should be such inclusive and wonderful places, is that those people who are deciding they're going to put their everything into starting these nations should make room for others to come in and inhabit that space and to fill it with their creativity and their joy and their wonder, and be able to make things inside of it that would have never been possible on their own. The fact is, micronations are communities just as much as they are these projects, just as much as they are political ambitions. They are a group of people who need to love each other and experience what it is to try to codepend on a group of people. This happens to a much lesser extent in our grand societies that we live in now. But when you're talking about such a small scale, it has to be on a very, very core level. And that's hard. But it's the way that we get into these lives that we want to live. Why can't you go to a place, down the street from your house and it be fundamentally different from the one 20 minutes the opposite way? The fact is, there are plenty of opportunities for that, especially as we continue on into the future and the world gets more diverse and interconnected and all these things. We just haven't built the resources for it. And that's where these micronations come in. That's why it's so crucial to show people examples that this is possible, that you don't have to live a life that makes you feel out of place or miserable, or like you don't have a way to get to the future that you would like for yourself, this ideal dream you have. There should be places, micronations, that you can go and live and be a part of and support, and that can support you and help you to achieve those dreams. First off, we have 3 viewers, 3 likes. Thank you guys for being here. I know everybody who is watching the video later on gets frustrated when I go through the comments, but real quick, I'm going to blow through some. Again, thank you guys for being here and liking the video. Toxicity said RPG Adventures. I hope I explained that well. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Chad said hello, and then said assuming the proper role is correct. Said assume the role of a creator of a better lifestyle and or government. Absolutely. And that's what these, what I mean by saying we're creating these RPG adventures in real life, in shows and manga and anime and all these different things and video games. It starts off with the protagonist going, oh, there's something crazy happening, and it starts my adventure and I have to go off. Why can't dissatisfaction be that thing, be that starting point, be that inciting incident that takes you off to go and create the life that you would like to live? It is completely possible and it's completely reasonable. In fact, I would argue that you should be demanding that should be a part of your rights as a human being, to be able to chase and achieve the life that you want to live in the way that you want to live it, so long as you are not hurting others, so long as you are not trying to do evil and very, very heinous things. If you are trying to create a space for yourself, a place to be happy, a place to have your needs provided for, that should be something that is reasonable and achievable for you. And that should be something we should all aspire to. And I think micronations are a wonderful opportunity to reach that. So for micronationalism itself, Lionfire says, thanks, 8. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Lionsfire. And please like the video. Hey, I see 5 viewers, 5 likes. Thank you guys. As well, I just want to quickly pitch. We have a Patreon. We also have an Etsy. We're trying our best to get those to grow. So if you are interested in supporting us, and if you want to become a citizen of the Empire of Aeternia, you can do that by supporting our Patreon. And you can also buy items for your nation if you run a nation on our Etsy. You can even support us as the member of another micronation on our Etsy as well. So that is a way to help us to continue to grow. If you guys haven't seen our previous videos about building Vitae, the place that we're going to shelter and house our new society, our new residents, the place where we are building our community garden, the place where we are crafting our dreams. It is the fundamental capital of our empire, and we are slowly developing that. So the more that you guys help here, the more that we can get there. All that being the case, uh, creating a micronation is not for everybody. And I've talked about this in previous videos, and I want to go more in depth on this in this video because it is absolutely crucial for understanding what it is that we're doing and why it is that it is so difficult for so many people. We see micronations dropping out left and right and trying to figure out what is the answer to growing. Why is it that there's so many micronations created every year, but barely any of them actually come through to make larger and larger strides? And one, it's just a timeline thing. It takes a long time, but there's another really, really fundamental key that I want to hit on, that I've hit on in previous videos. And if any of you guys in the comments know what I'm talking about, go ahead and drop it in because we made videos on it. Real quick, let me read Toxicity's comment and we'll get into it. Toxicity said, really, I don't care those bigger micros. I view Sealand and Molossia as glorified tourist attractions and Slojamistan as glorified advertisements. Perhaps we disagree. I think, that's a tough one because I'm not trying to call anybody out, right? All of those people who are doing those things, Sealand, they had a goal and purpose for doing what they do, and they're going after that. Same thing with Molossia. Molossia was started by a guy, I think it's something like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where he as a kid just wanted to create this country, and so they did, and then he kept it going. So I don't think the goals of Sealand, for example, and the goals of Molossia are the same. They're unique in what they're doing. The same thing with Slojamistan. I would say Aeternia feels very different than Molossia, Sealand, and Slojamistan, and I'm sure other nations that you've seen online feel very different because they have very urgent needs to try to develop into sustained populous communities. All of these examples, Molossia, Slojamistan, and Sealand, are not trying to grow and increase their populations at the moment. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they don't accept online citizenships and things like that, and have these titles, but they aren't, inviting people to sleep in their backyard, so to speak. They aren't building homes for people. They aren't, expanding their reach so that they can provide residency for a population. And that, I feel like, is something that fundamentally separates a certain line of where a micronation is trying to go. Not all of these micronations are trying to achieve recognition in that sense. Not all of these micronations are trying to sustain populations and provide for their people. That doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't interesting and creative projects on their own. That doesn't mean they don't deserve to be called micronations, because they absolutely do. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't respect them and learn from them, because we should. They've been successful in their own right. But I get what you mean. I get that you're saying that these are fundamentally different, and I would argue that they are as well. Chad Cook says, we know what you meant, Tox. For sure. Kingdom of Kushti says, tourism is a great side economic opportunity for micronations. We use it, but it's not our primary source of income. Hey, welcome, Kingdom of Kushti. Thank you for liking and being a part of the video today. I completely agree. Tourism is important. In Aeternia, for Vitae, we want to start advancing our opportunities for tourism. Before we can even have people out at Vitae, walking around in our capital, taking pictures of the sites, buying things from a physical imperial market that is there, not just the imperial market we have on Etsy, we will have to do a lot to transform it. And so we need money to do that before we can even host tourism there. So the fact of the matter is, we're going to have to start creating different events and hosting different things so that we can raise more money outside of that. So we'll have to go into other places and outreach to our local community in the United States and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're about. And we hope you support us. If there's any way that you can, give us some money, give us a shout out. Help us to get into one of your local businesses to help sell items, co-host an event with us and help us fundraise. There's a lot that we can do. And the closer and closer that we get to developing, and the closer and closer we get to providing resources for our population, as far as, completed dwellings for their residents and so forth, and providing greater and greater gains from our community garden, these are fundamental aspects that we have to have. having that economy is critical for that. And so when we talk about micronationalism as this RPG adventure that we're going on, this thing that we're seeking together, it's difficult because I feel like everybody's running in different directions, right? We're all saying, oh, we have these micronations and we're doing this and that, and we're trying for all these different goals, and all of us are trying to be leaders. Not all of us, a lot of us. And I think that's exactly the downfall that we end up in, is that micronations, being such complex things, being literal societies we're trying to found, are only as supported and only as strong and only as large as the amount of dedication that their citizens provide. And so if you have very few citizens, or if you have very low dedication, hello.
Look how intense it is.
It is.
I really do think she's pregnant.
Yeah, her side
She said,
especially.
stop it. She said, leave my
Sorry,
babies alone.
Tiffany's here, and she has this little stray cat that has been wandering around that she calls Shay Shay. Well, that her cousin calls Shay Shay. And we think Shay Shay might be pregnant. So, again, sorry for the aside, but we have to deal with a pregnant cat. The internet loves cats, so I figure not too big a deal. You have something to say, Shay Shay?
Said, anyone want a kitten?
Oh, goodness. Looking to sell kittens on the internet. That's how Aeternia fundraises. Yep.
Well, I have enough cats.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's the primary point that I was trying to drive home, guys, is that we're really in a situation where there are too many people trying to start micronations and not enough people joining micronations. And I think the issue with that is not that all of these micronations can't be successful, because you can all go out and try to individually seek out your own citizenships from the local communities that you're in and provide benefits for that. And that is a great way to do so. However, I think some of the most wonderful, most active, most dedicated, most creative people who are going to support a micronation are other micronationalists, people who got into it potentially initially to start their own nation, or just because they were in love with the concept and did not fully develop their own nation, or felt a stagnation in that. Oh, goodness. Tiff's on the live stream as we're talking. Thanks, Tiff. I appreciate it. Giving us an extra view. Tiff's artificially inflating our views, but I appreciate it. Very cool.
Well, that's how I figured out where you were. And I was like, oh, I know where that is.
It's right here. But yeah, so as we continue, I think we should really think about trying to join other micronations. I say this as somebody who is asking others to join Aeternia, for the reason that we have land, for the reason that we have these certain developments that we're pushing for, and we have a small but foundational presence here on YouTube and on other social media, and we're starting to figure things out. We're starting to actually build industries through our metals refining. We're starting to build connections to our local community, and we just want to advance that more quickly. So anything and everything we can push for other people to join and become a part of Aeternia, even without providing any financial benefits to Aeternia. If you can just provide your creativity, if you can provide your time and effort in creating content for us, in creating art, in creating music, whatever it is that you're passionate about, you can help to reach someone and impact someone's life. And if you are an Aeternian in that, you advance Aeternia just through being yourself, just through making your life that RPG adventure and continuing to push forward with that, but not having to do so alone, knowing that you are backed by tens, potentially eventually hundreds of people, and that we care about you and that we support you. Also, thank you guys for 7 viewers and 6 likes. If you're here, thanks for liking.
I do want to make a comment. Okay, so you have the R's, you've red.
Yes.
You have the G's, you green.
Yes.
You have no P.
RPG. Urine. It's urine. She's like, I've got the red on the ascot, the green from the foliage, and also my shirt. So that's RG. Where's the P in RPG? Gross.
Oh, bracelet.
Purple. Yep. Purple bracelet. RPG. We got it. I love you, bud.
Right. I love you too. I'm gonna go chill inside.
Sounds good. Have fun.
Yep. My leg hurts. So.
Oh, be careful, though. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
Have fun with your live stream.
Thanks, bud.
I think Shay Shay's gonna stay with you.
It seems like it. Shay Shay's at our feet giving us support. See you, Tiff.
Bye.
Okay, so we're here, everybody.
AP, you better live your RPG adventure.
I'm living my best life with you, bug. Cool. Also, just guys having wonderful people in your life is a big deal. I haven't talked about this a ton on our YouTube channel, but you know, in my past, you know, growing up as a teenager and stuff like that, I've dealt with, you know, depression and, you know, difficulties with trying to develop myself and trying to understand my place in the world. And part of that was trying to find an identity and trying to find a home. And I think through Eternia, I've been able to find a lot of benefit in that, but also just in having wonderful people in my life. And I think Eternia has become an expression for that love that I feel in my life, and for all of those people who have helped me and are continuing to help me and are now all pushing together to help others. That's something that has been insane as far as the amount of help and just mental support that that's given me. And so if you're looking for some way to give an extra stat boost to your micronation, just be appreciative of those people in your life and seek out people who are looking out for your best interests, for your health and your happiness. And that can take you a long way, much further than you would ever think possible. There are people out there who really love you and care about you. And if nothing else, we do. We, you know, this is through a screen or whatever. I 100% get that. But even if you know, never supported us in any way besides watching these videos, that is a ton. And you know, if you comment, if you reach out via email or whatever and want to talk and want advice on micronationalism or life or anything else, we're here for you, and we appreciate you. I appreciate you. I am slow to answer emails sometimes. I'm slow to respond to people's Discord messages or their Instagram messages or whatever. But I am here, and I appreciate you guys. I get to them eventually, I promise. It may take a month, but I do get to them eventually. Okay, let's go ahead and read some more people's comments on the concept of micronationalism as an RPG and as the greatest RPG adventure that could ever exist. Um, um, Mostly, I view Slajamistan in this way because of how their leader portrays both nation and himself on an international stage. For example, in an interview, I found they asked him why his micronation was founded. He responded with, "Well, I don't like Crocs, and we thought they were bad, so Slajamistan is very anti-Crocs." Hey, first off, Onyx, great to see you. Toxicity said, also, Onyx, again, wonderful to see you. I would love to do a collaboration with you if you ever have time. Onyx, if you guys don't know, is a micronationalist in and of himself, runs a YouTube channel, and also does a lot of animation on that YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked them out, you definitely should. Also, I personally have been excited about the new animation stuff you've been doing, and I would love to ask for some help with creating videos for Eternia as far as animated videos. I know we may have talked about that in the past, but I want to pursue another one. We did a country ball video a while back that was animated, and people loved it. It's one of the most viewed videos on the channel, and I would really like to try and do something like that again and see if we can't blow it up. So if you ever have time, let's talk about it. Kingdom of Kushti said, "Congrats, Shay Shay! Yeah, good job, Shay Shay. I'll grab her. I'll grab her potentially pregnant belly. Oh, she mewing. She mewing. One of the things that's interesting about Shay Shay as well, she has black whiskers, which is super rare in a cat. I didn't know, maybe not super rare, but rare in a cat. I didn't know about that until I Googled it. But yeah, I'd never seen a cat with black whiskers before. It's like a coloring thing, genetic mutation. Chad Cook says, "LOL." Chris says, "Good assessment that molossia and sealand are glorified tourist attractions." Hey, what's going on, Chris? It's good to see you. I do think that's interesting. So then let me ask you guys this. What is, yesterday we made a video, a live stream talking about what micronationalism is, what it should be. And so to you guys, what does that mean? If these micronations that so many people look up to and are arguably, and I think pretty reasonably arguably, the largest and most successful micronations out there thus far, what is it to you? Like what should micronations be? What should their achievements be? Because I agree. I think that micronations should be pushing for more than that, and I think that we should be trying to, you know, we should be trying to give platform to micronations that are doing more for their people, doing more for their community, and are uh, trying to really break ground on recognition as far as being developed and successful for their people as a society, as a civilization. Toxicity says it's just really how they present themselves. Makes sense. Onyx says healthy relationship intensifies. Chad says red, purple, green makes sense. Yeah. Toxicity says very based. Chris says, isn't it wholly counterproductive to call a micronation an RPG? Not at all. So in the sense that some people, some micronations are straight up fantasy. We're not, but some micronations are straight up fantasy and maybe literally RPG in the other sense. And those people should be allowed to call those things micronations if they want to. As well, for situations like us, again, we talked about this earlier in the stream, so many people legitimately wake up in their life going, oh, I didn't get my Hogwarts letter. Oh, I didn't, I couldn't become a Pokemon master. Nobody called me and woke me up in the night as a kid and told me I'm the chosen one with special powers. People want to go on those adventures. People want to be the hero in their RPG quest. People want to create a life that is fundamentally different from the thing that they see around them, from their 9 to 5, from the daily grind, whatever it is that they're doing. They want something unique. They want to step into a realm that is different than they've ever seen, that is foreign and alien, and makes them feel like they can have a fresh start and the life and that they really want to live. People express themselves very, very completely when they are able to role play. Whether that's cosplay, whether that's dressing up for a Renaissance fair, or whatever that is. People internalize that, and people crave that. And so as micronations, creating our own cultures, unique nations, unique societies that the world has never seen before, we should be aspiring to that. To saying, hey, if you like going to a Renaissance fair is full of people who are dressing up and faking it. It's wonderful that they're doing it. They put on a great show, but at a certain point, there is a limit where that show stops. People go home. People, take it off and are done. In Aeternia, we are Aeternians when we wake up and when we go to sleep. We are Aeternians all day and all night. We are Aeternians in every sense of the word. That doesn't mean we don't have times where we go out into the United States and experience life as Americans. That doesn't mean we still don't have our American citizenships, but we are Aeternians, and we are trying to grow into that role more and more. So when you develop a micronation, you are creating a role for yourself. You're stepping into a role not only as a leader if you're creating that micronation yourself, but as a person who lives in that society. As the Emperor of Aeternia, I not only have to recognize and understand my role as the Emperor for myself, I also have to understand what it means for me to be an Aeternian in Aeternian society. It is fundamental to growing and creating a nation to understand the culture of that nation and to define how it's going to move forward. And people crave that. People so badly want to be whisked away into another realm. There are plenty of genres of books and TV shows and movies that are all about that concept. Oh, I had an ordinary, average life, and then I got swept away into magic and adventure to live the life that I truly felt like I needed in my heart. There is no reason micronationalism can't do that for people. And in fact, that's what we're trying to do by helping to grow and develop Vitae, our capital. We are creating a community garden. We are building dwellings, homes for people to live in, tiny houses that you should check out in our previous videos. But when we're doing all of this, we are trying to provide it so that people have their fundamental needs taken care of. So you don't have to wonder where your next meal is coming from if you're pursuing your passions. So that you don't have to, worry about your electricity getting shut off or you not having water to take a shower or cook your meals. These are things that people need to be able to express themselves, to be able to be the best version of them that they are going to be. And I think that will show a radical improvement in how not only efficient, but how successful for people's happiness and well-being a society can be in a very small form. And if we could be that inspiration for others, we could expand that out into the world and encourage people to think differently about the way that they're living their lives and to push for better. There's so much in our societies and in our lives and in our politics that we constantly say, oh, well, it's the better of two evils. Oh, well, I wish things were this way, but it's never going to be that way because the government's like this, or because this is like this, or because society expects this. We're society. We can change that. We need to actively be making strides to change that in our own lives. That's what those RPG adventure heroes do, and we should take inspiration from them. Toxicity said, micronations, in my opinion, should be, at bare minimum, inherently political in nature. I don't view molossia or sealand as inherently political in nature, at least not anymore. I get that. English Times said, Aeternia forever. Hey, English Times, it's good to see you. Aeternia forever. I hope you're doing well. I was sad to see you dropped off the Patreon, but I am incredibly grateful for the time that you were there. We have had 3 patrons for just a little while, and English Times was the first of them in that stint. Well, no, that's not true. Gastanova, our master of the House of Treasure, has been there for years, actually. He's been technically the first. But there was a downslope where it was just Gastanova, where it was just Stephen. And eventually it became Stephen and English Times, and then Stephen and English Times and Eric, who's another one of our citizens. But English Times, we are grateful for you and all the time that you have put into being a part of this community, supporting us on Patreon, and helping us to make this community better. We are trying to save up those funds right now, so we haven't done anything with the amount that you've given us, but hopefully we will be able to put that into a project that is worthy of your contribution, that honors your contribution. Chad Cook says, progressive micronational development. Sealand got a step ahead, but do not seem to have continued in the area of progress. Molossia and Slowjamistan seem more gimmicky. I definitely get that, Chad, and I feel the dissatisfaction in the room from that. I really understand that you guys are saying it's not just, you know, that you can, you know, put on a costume and say, I'm the leader of so-and-so, and that you should be immediately accepted as that. And I think that's an interesting shift in micronationalism, because for years that was the basis. You know, these people, Molossia, Slowjamistan, Sealand, were really, really the pioneers, at very least, the mascots for what it is that micronationalism is, you know, the figureheads. And so in wanting something more, that's a fundamental paradigm shift for how micronationalism has grown. And I think it's a testament to that it's getting more successful. People really want this, and they're looking for their way to achieve it, not just in some way of saying, oh, look at me, I'm the leader of so-and-so, but in a way that fundamentally impacts their lives. And that's what this video is talking about, that making that RPG adventure isn't just about dressing up in that costume. It's about doing the adventure. It's about going on it, and it's about putting yourself in those shoes and facing the consequences of that. It's hard. It is a lifestyle of development and building and struggle and confusion and having to learn so many skills you never thought you'd have to learn. And it is like an RPG adventure. You start with nothing, you build up, you get a little bit here, you get a little bit there, you grind, you grind, you grind. You do everything you can to try and figure out the best strats and the best way to grow and the best way to get the resources that you need. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you end up in a better place than you started. And I think for a lot of us, that's what we want. And I think for a lot of us, we're actively pushing for that. So I definitely understand, and I appreciate that. Kingdom of Kushti says, we often tell people that a micronation is like an adult version of a school mock government project. It tends to put people at ease when it's associated with a form of play as opposed to a secessionist state. I definitely understand that. And we've also talked about the concept of secessionist states on this channel. There are secessionist micronations out there. We don't consider ourselves a secessionist micronation, but we do consider ourselves a realist micronation. And so you may ask, well, you know, how are you going to achieve your goals if you're just saying you're not going to secede? How are you going to do that? Well, we consider the territory that Aeternia is in, which is inside the United States jurisdiction, as being ours culturally and ours by right of purchase. It is our owned property. However, we are still within the regulations and authority of the United States government. And so we have to respect that, and we have to obey that. As much as we would rather just be completely independent, we have to make a place that is completely independent for us. So as we continue to grow and develop and get more funding, we're going to expand out more and more and have more and more territories that are owned property in the United States and hopefully other countries that continue to improve that independence and continue to be able to flex what they have and be able to use that more and more independently, hopefully getting recognition from local state governments. But at a certain point, we will have to create, with the money that we gain from all of this support from all of these different citizens who are hoping for that little bit more independence, we want to be able to create a place that is our own, whether that's through seasteading, whether that's through space travel or some other means in the future. I hope I'm alive to see that, but if I'm not, I want to be able to create the foundation that allows Aeternians to do that. And so this is how we're doing it. We are not going to say that we're secessionists because we don't want, to cause problems. We're not trying to pick a fight with anybody. We're not trying to, stir up the pot. But what we are trying to do is to make a statement that we are who we are. We want something fundamentally different. And all of the people who are a part of Aeternia seek a life that is better than the one that we've been given and the one that we can hope to expect for the future. So we have to create something new for ourselves. And this is the way that we're doing it. And we're not going to stop. Aeternia forever. Chris says, so my logic is that referring to it as an RPG confuses roleplay, for which there already exists an expression, roleplay with micronationalism, which is another thing. Not at all. Again, micronations are a huge umbrella category. There are some who are 100% fantasy. That's why we break up the category into realist and fantasy. There are micronations who are completely and always will be fantasy. That's all they ever hope to be. That's all they're ever interested in. And that is fine. We should accept that and understand that, because it is still an expression of someone's humanity. It is still them saying they're creating something that is important to them, and they start out basically the same way. You can have your own intentions of saying, my nation is a real nation and it's independent, and that's what we have defined it to be. But if you don't have anything backing you up, if you don't have that recognition yet, while you may start putting resources into it, while you may start building things, you cannot look down on those who are role-playing. You cannot look down on those who are creating something in their minds, because maybe that's their escape, maybe that's their way of healing, maybe that's their way of understanding the world, and maybe that's their way of eventually growing into a change that they would like to see, whether it's as a micronation or not. That is something special to them, and I think it's important to recognize that for what it is. So as we continue to grow our realist micronations and develop those, I don't think we should look down at our partners and friends in the fantasy community. In fact, I think we should embrace them, because that's going to teach us how to better improve our culture. Those people are doing it for fun. Their whole goal is to maximize fun and enjoyment. And if we're making authoritarian states that are all based on regimen and order and perfect execution, then we're never going to be able to truly hit at the heart of what people are craving in micronationalism, which is that fun, that better life, that self-expression, that freedom. If you look down on those people, you're missing out, I'm telling you. Chris said, people should roleplay as much as they want, but it's logical ipso facto contention between roleplay and unrecognized statehood. I think depending on who you talk to, they would say that those things are very, very similar. It's only to us internally that we really can sort out the differences. And we should push, of course, for more realism and more recognition and more objective, groundbreaking achievement. We should be trying to push for things that are inspiring and show that micronationalism can grow in a real and tangible way. But at the same, and build lives for people. But at the same time, we should respect and encourage those who are doing it in a fantasy way, and should connect those and call them micronations, just like we call ourselves micronations. Chris says Aeternia would be comparable to a Native American nation in a sense then, except without the consideration of the government. I don't know about that, right? Because I 100% get where you're coming from, or at least I think I do, in the sense that, there's these nations that are internal to America that, have been basically just set aside from the government standpoint. But those Native American tribes, the distinction, and I'm sure I'm saying this to preach into the choir, those are historical nations that existed before the United States. The United States just kind of bullied them into being what they are now. It's horrible, tragic, genocide. But in the sense that we are trying to push for greater, yes. In the sense that we are trying to flex our rights to autonomy and to the ability for us to create our own society with its own intentions and its own goals that are separate from those of the United States, yes, absolutely. But we are trying to do even more than that. We want to create that space that is fully independent. We're just not going to try and steal it from other people. We're not going to try and take it and say, oh, okay, this land that was yours and your fathers and your grandfathers and in your family for generations, that's now within Aeternian territory now, so good luck with that. That's not fair, that's not right, and we would be doing the exact same thing that the United States did to the Native Americans, and we'd be doing the same thing that the South tried to do during the Civil War. All of these horrendous tragedies occurred because somebody came in and said, what's yours is now mine, I'm taking it, I'm controlling it, and what have you. That's horrible. That's the incorrect way to go about it. If we're truly going to be successful with this, we need to show overwhelming support for what we're trying to do by being here and living in societies that are fundamentally different and showing people that those societies are fundamentally different here, and then saving up the money to be able to build that in a truly, completely independent way. That's a long process, potentially a multi-generational process, but we will not stop as Aeternians, and we will achieve it one day. I appreciate your comments there, Chris. Those are really thoughtful and really insightful as far as your personal interest in micronationalism, as well as I think the community interest. You hit on things that multiple people have been really vibing with and really saying, yeah, I feel that and I agree. Same thing with you, Toxicity. Republic of Unity says, hi, AP. Hey, Republic of Unity, good to see you. As well, I wanted to bring up to everybody, if you guys don't know approximately where we are in North Alabama, kind of near the Huntsville area. So if y'all are interested at all in trying to connect with us, if you are interested in becoming a part of those community events that we hope to do, even if we do them online, we can live stream them as we do them in person, and you guys can participate and be a part of that. We've come up with more and more cultural games for the Empire of Aeternia to be able to do things like that. One of which is the battle game that you guys saw in our video, Asking Strangers to Fight Me, where we went out and talked to people about Aeternia, and we gave them our business card and encouraged them to look us up as starting a brand new nation, and we asked them to battle us in this little portable game that we had. It was fun. I think people got a lot of a rise out of it, and felt, I say a rise out of it, I think that's usually used in like an angry context. It, I think, brought people's expression out. I think it gave people a little bit of relief and curiosity, and it rolled well into us actually just interviewing people and asking them about micronations and Aeternia in a future video that we did. But for us, this is really, really crucial. Trying to, express that we are serious about our goals. We are building things, we are making things, we're doing things, and we're always trying to improve in a real way. At the same time, we are also excited about developing the culture of that and in having fun in that and in supporting those who are doing it simply just for fun, though we have different goals. So I guess what I would be curious about is, what is in that for you? When you look at Aeternia, each and every one of you, if you have a comment on this, I would really love for you to weigh in, because we're trying to understand our own growth here. We're from the inside of Aeternia looking out, and I want to see what people see from the outside of Aeternia looking in. We're trying to grow, we're trying to develop, and we have basically no money. Of course, if you have a lot of money, it's pretty easy to just throw it at things until they start to stick. But for us, we are college students. We're people who are in debt. We're people who, because of that college education, we're people who are in STEM fields, myself in going for a master's in physics, my girlfriend Tiff now pursuing her PhD in mechanical engineering, specifically in robotics and controls, which is incredible. So we are knowledgeable people. We're people who are continuing to try to develop those industries for Aeternia and make it a bigger and better place for those people who will eventually reside in it. But until then, how do we go about the business aspect? How do we go about actually developing and growing from the little bit that we have? We're trying to push that every day, and we're trying to learn from you guys about it. But talk to us. What are the things that you value about Aeternia? Is it this content? Is it the things that we actually provide on our Etsy site? Is it, going to see us talk to other people? Is it live streams like this where you get more one-on-one connection? if we can try to find ways that are beneficial to you guys, then to exploit and to continue to grow, then maybe that will be beneficial to other people, and they'll start to latch onto that and say, hey, the same reason that you like Aeternia is now why I like Aeternia. I found this cool thing, let me share it with my friends. Because at the end of the day, we are something that is international to the extent that we are spreading through the internet. But we're also local. We're trying to grab the one-on-one attention of those around us. I didn't know how many micronations are in Tennessee and in Alabama and Mississippi and Florida and Georgia and all these places around us. So if you are within driving distance from us, if you want to come see us, if you want to reach out to us, please message us. Please let us know what you're up to, because that's important for us to make those connections, especially right now when we have to grow so vitally to be able to provide that home for people. Chad Cook asked a fantastic question. How does one join and become a citizen? That's a great question. The best and easiest way is through our citizenship application. So that's the way that everybody has to apply for citizenship. In fact, what I can do is I can go ahead and post that potentially in the chat right here. I'll go ahead and do that in just a second. But you can apply for citizenship through our citizenship application. It lists some fundamental requirements on the top, so please make sure you read those. It's basically that you can't be a part of another micronation and be a part of the Empire of Aeternia. We want the dedication of those people who want to be citizens to really put their all into Aeternia. That doesn't mean you can't be a US citizen. That doesn't mean you can't have as many macronational citizenships as you want, but micronational citizenships are exclusive specifically to Aeternia as an Aeternian citizen. But as well, from there, there are two forms of taxation that we accept. Either $1 a month on our Patreon, which means if you pay that $1 a month, that's your citizenship tax. It gives us $12 a year, very small. Once things are taken out, like Patreon's fees, it's even less. It's like maybe 10 something dollars a year or less, but it means a lot to us and it helps us grow. We also provide special content for that. If you don't want to do that, the other way is simply for free. You just provide your time and efforts in something that is tangible for us and beneficial for us. That can be art, that can be content, video content, music, whatever it is you're passionate about, whatever it is that's important to you. If you can use those benefits, those skills for Aeternia, if you take on some role within Aeternian society, and we can, get you to do things for us, that works just the same as paying that citizenship tax on Patreon. So it doesn't cost a single thing other than your time and dedication to be an Aeternian citizen. And what we hope to do is provide more and more benefits as time goes on and we increase the amount of citizens that we have. So as we start to get residents out on Pate, as we start to develop a larger presence online, as our Patreon starts to grow, we want to be able to provide more and more to every single one of our citizens who are there making Aeternia a better place every day. Real quick, let me see if I can grab that link for anybody who wants it. But I extended to sign up on your Patreon. Hey, thank you so much, Unity. Yo, if you did subscribe to us on Patreon, that's incredible. I win our endorsements these years, but lost 2 citizens. I'm sorry that you lost 2 citizens. Thank you for signing up on our Patreon. Hit me up and let me know if you did. I'll check it later, I guess. If you have our email, aeternianempire@gmail.com, please email us. Let me get you guys the link. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and, can I send a message? I see like the chat stuff. Can I actually type a message in chat? Oh, goodness. Dang it, how do I, okay. Confusion, apologies, guys. This is going to be an issue now. Because I would love to do that. I'd love to be able to show you guys. Also, fair warning, my phone is getting pretty hot. Sometimes it will do a thing where it's overheating and will shut down. So if that happens, my apologies. But let's see how long we can keep going here. I want to post the link. And it seems I am unable to right now. That sucks. If somebody has the citizenship application, please do drop that link. I want to see if Tiffany is on there. Oh goodness, the link to the citizenship application. My apologies. So Chris messaged and said, what if on the application, what I'll do, I'll drop it in the description. So if you guys check out the video after it's been published, eventually this video will end. When it does, once it becomes published, if you guys will check the comments, I'll post it in the comments after the video. So it'll be on the video comments, and in the description of the video, you can find that citizenship application as well. If you go to our website, which is Aeternian Empire, AeternianEmpire.wixsite.com. If you look up the Empire of Aeternia on Google, it should be one of the first results. On there, you will find our citizenship application pretty quickly. If you go to the citizenship tab on our website, it says apply to become a citizen, we need you. And when you join up, you fill out that application and I get a notification on my phone to check it. I just saw one a minute ago, so thank you guys for applying. Chris says, what if on the application one has a citizenship of polity that calls itself a sovereign state but is not recognized as such and therefore doesn't refer to another micronational citizenship? Would the application potentially approved application be invalidated? So Chris, yes, for the purpose of what we're trying to do, no matter what you call the thing that you're doing, is we're trying to get your hopes for developing a state or a country or society to be focused on Aeternia. We want your investment long term, hopefully for your life, but if not for your life, for years, to be focused on Aeternia. That's the goal. We want to find people, we want citizens who aren't just, here to support and, give us a huzzah from the sidelines, which we appreciate, but we really want people who want to do it regularly and get into it and eventually build their life in Aeternia, go live in an Aeternian territory, go, actually become deeper and deeper invested into Aeternia. And so any project that is going to severely take your interests and efforts away from Aeternia, and what we found in that is that micronations and other state creation projects tend to do that, becomes a big problem for us, because we want you to become citizens, we want you to be excited, but if we're not constantly doing something, or if we have other things to do, and we need you to work on and develop and create stuff yourself for Aeternia, it may become more in your interest, especially if you get added resources from us. If we start hyping up whatever it is that you do and are passionate about to other people, if you start getting buzz around your thing that you're doing, then you hop on over to that and you start working on that more, and then we get less and less of those efforts. So we really want you to make Aeternia your home, and we want to be able to make Aeternia something that fits more and more with you. The more dedicated you are to Aeternia, the more time and effort that you provide, the more that you'll see Aeternia becomes shaped more in your image. And that's tough, and that's tough to do because we've been pushing at this thing for years, but it is fundamental and necessary to us achieving nationhood and recognized nationhood especially. So we are tough on that. There aren't many micronational citizenships that are that extensive or that extreme. There are also a few questions on the citizenship application that ask you about general beliefs that you have. If you believe that all people deserve a basic quality of life, that all people deserve to be treated equally and respected as such. Those types of questions are things to gauge whether you'll fit well in our community. We support LGBTQ people. We support the rights of trans people. We support people of all races, creeds, backgrounds, religions, etc. Our state doesn't support any one particular religion or anything like that. So when you become a part of Aeternia, there are a few fundamental core beliefs that we all share. But then besides that, we really want to see what you have to bring to the table. There's so many of these micronations who have laws and ideas and all these things drafted that they aren't quite able to reach the application of. They aren't able to put those things into effect because they don't have the resources to do so. We have some resources. We're not a huge towering civilization. We don't have millions of dollars. We don't have 17 corporations that we run and own that send out billions of dollars in resources around the world. We're not doing that. But we have a group of people who are dedicated. We have people who are all over the world who support us. We have a little bit of revenue coming in, very slow trickle. And we're trying to expand that as much as we can locally and internationally. So the more that you become a part of Aeternia and help us to grow that, the quicker it climbs and the more benefits there are for you and every other Aeternian citizen out there. Chris said, the application rule is good. It should be conventionalized. One can see, and I have experienced, that multiple polities try to function within the same people involved. It's silly and unsustainable. It's hard, yes, 100%. And that is a problem with micronational organizations. We've talked about micronational organizations on previous streams and doing previous things. I'm going to actually turn the camera down a little bit so I can back up a little bit and be down here. Hopefully you guys can still see me and things are doing all right. Hopefully I'm not too blown out. But let me see, can I change the, oh gosh, filter on the stream. Ooh, the pop looks nice. Let's see about that pop. And then when I come down here, I'm slightly less blown out. Okay, still pretty blown out. Whatever. Let me change it back to normal. Change it back to normal. Cool. Zoom out as much as I can. Yes, 100%. I think that's really tough, and it's something that makes it hard for micronations to develop. So what people do, you know, they'll have themselves, they run a micronation, they have their other friends who are part of their micronation, who also have their micronations. They'll all get together and say, look at all our micronations, we're doing things together, but none of us are really making a ton of progress. What can we do? Oh, we need to make a micronational organization. Let's get all these different micronations, because we have so many, put them all together. All of them working together have to function and have to be able to trade with each other and give so many benefits that they weren't doing on their own. I'm experiencing puberty as I talk. That they experience on their own. However, it is wild to see that people don't realize you're dividing your resources slimmer and slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. We want to increase the value of each citizenship, and we want to increase the amount that each person is putting into Aeternia. So we want to consolidate efforts as much as possible. We don't want to spread our works between 12 different micronations and 100 different ideas. We really want to try and organize that and say, hey, what are the most important goals for us to achieve right now? Let's go after that. Let's focus on that. And then let's put everybody's things into kind of an order of which goals and objectives we need to tackle at what times. Again, that's going to play a role in who you are in our nation. For the Empire of Aeternia, we are really looking for people who want to work in teams, want to work, to create something for themselves. And so we, of course, need creative people, but we also need people who are understanding of the time that it takes, the dedication, not just in, oh, I'm going to work myself to death on this thing. Please don't do that. But more so the longevity that it takes. We have had citizens of our micronation who have been a citizen, like, for example, Master Stephen of the House of Treasure. He has been a citizen for years now at this point, has provided an immense amount of resources to us, and has provided a lot for us ideologically, has provided a lot for us as a government official, has provided us representation at MicroCon in 2022. But in all of that, it's not that every single day he's working and grinding and making a thing for us. It's about the fact that he's here. He's here through the thin times, he's here through the thick times. He considers himself a part of Aeternia, and that is, enough for us during the slow times. During the times when we really need to hustle and grind, we try and reach out, we try and find people who can, whether it's him if he's available or someone else. But we're constantly pushing for that. So the more people that we have, even if you can't dedicate all of your time to Aeternia, which we don't expect, we don't want even a smaller sliver of that time. You know what? If 5% of your time reasonably can be dedicated, and that's really grinding at it, to developing a micronation, to developing Aeternia, for example, we don't want that to be divided up even smaller to 1.1% or something, or even 0.5% or 0.25%, because you're focusing on another micronation, you're focusing on all these other things. That becomes difficult for us because we still want to provide a base quality of life for all of our citizens. What that means is, as we continue to gain more resources, those resources are going to all of our citizens, slowly but surely. And so you get access to more and more things, and that citizenship becomes more valuable the longer you stay in. So getting in on the ground floor is much more valuable because you get to a much higher position as things grow and develop. And you get access to more of those resources, and those resources earlier. But if we have people who aren't working and putting the time in, then it's harder and harder for us to do that. So we have to make sure that all the people who are reaping the rewards of Aeternia are putting in some way. Doesn't have to be the same way, doesn't have to be the exact, equal amount of work. You don't have to be pushing yourself to be better than the next guy. You just need to be doing your best. It's important to us. And we find ways to ensure that people are doing their best. Or to, tell people, hey, if you're not doing your best, this may not be the place for you. Chris says, then there are those who seek to establish federations who go on the interwebs and ask everyone their grandmother to be a subdivisional governor. Yep, absolutely. And it's hard. Chris said, barring organizations that are obviously nonsense, what is your general opinion on organizations? I assume you've heard about the GUM, for which I am not much of a fan. What is your assessment? That's a great question. First Trains Gamer jumped in and said, hello from the Eldonian Empire. Good to see you, Trains. Thank you for being here. We're glad to have the Eldonian Empire talking to us here in Aeternia. Give me 1 second. I'm going to step away real fast. My throat is killing me, and I will be right back. Give me like 5 seconds. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. People are talking about a lot of stuff. I see Chris throwing in the comments. I appreciate you, Chris. Real fast. I assume you've heard about the GUM, for which I'm not much of a fan. What's your assessment? I don't know much about GUM. I have been invited to GUM before, and we turned down their application. Not because we have any beef with GUM or anything. All of our alliances, we've had one alliance in the history of the Empire of Aeternia, actual formal alliance in the Empire of Aeternia. We have plenty of micronational friends. The Draconian Empire is an amazing help to us and one of our good friends. We've only had one ever alliance, and that's with the People's Republic of Parkistopia. The reason for that alliance is because we found something tangible that we could trade. At the time, we supplied our work and our efforts to them in exchange for bottles, 2-liter bottles specifically. And while that sounds silly, at the time we were trying to build a large raft, a flotation device, which we ended up making an improved version of later on out of large PVC pipes, and got to be successful. So that was exciting for us. We had Aeternia's first watercraft, but at the time we were initially starting on the idea of bottles. And so that was something that, while small and silly, was an actual practical example of a trade that we could make. We were local to each other. We had the ability to do that, and it worked out. We gained those bottles regularly. We were able to supply a regular stream of work to them and to promote them on our YouTube channel. And ultimately, that gave us a benefit. So we structured the rest of our trade based around that concept that, hey, the rest of our alliances based around that concept of trade. Hey, even if it's something intangible like, your ideas and thoughts or whatever, or your voice for a podcast, or music, or whatever it is that you can provide. Even if it's something that doesn't give us a dollar value in trade, we still want some medium of exchange, something that we can provide to you to give you benefit, and you to provide for us to gain benefit. That way, the alliance has some value, that it has some structure to grow on, so that we can know what to expect as we go on, so that we can start to make estimates and guesses about how we should be growing and what our resources look like and what different opportunities there are based on the needs of each nation. Those are things that are fundamental to growing a successful alliance, and are the fundamentals in having an alliance, in our opinion, in the first place. Is what is the value that that alliance is based on? So when we asked, we were given, for example, with GUM, we were given a list of, like many micronational organizations, which we've talked to and have invited us to join, or that we've looked into joining, have all said, hey, it's something where you get connection to these other nations. You know, the fact that you're a member, you get the benefit of talking to all these other nations. They provide advice, and they provide basically counseling for you to develop your micronation. That hey, we'll come together and talk about ideas, things like that. We provide a Discord server for those kinds of exchanges. Also, thank you guys for watching the video. If you haven't liked, please like. I see 5 viewers, 6 likes. Just wanted to see if we get that extra one. So when we're doing that, all of those things are benefits. And to some micronations, that may very well be enough. Hey, I need a community to join. And so I have no reason to shit on or poo-poo or any of that, those groups. They are real tangible benefit for some micronations. For our micronation, it's not that we wouldn't want more access to more nations, because of course we do. But right now, our primary driving interest is in developing our citizenship and in developing trade and developing our industries. And so that includes our online stuff. That includes our materials, like our metals refinery, stuff like that. Usually, if you're a micronation, trade in a physical sense of I'm going to send you this is difficult, because where's that money come from? Do you have regular income to provide for shipping and things like that, which can be really, really expensive real quick. So you better be getting a lot of benefit out of that. The primary way, in my opinion, that alliances should work, and that organizations like GUM, for example, should benefit and should work, is by providing resources to each other in the form of content. What are you good at? You're good at drawing, you're good at music, you're good at speaking and videos or whatever. Come together. You're good at editing. Come together and provide a network of resources to each other for free. And then if you're just all constantly hyping each other, like for example, those things like the hype house or whatever. If you guys follow like TikTok houses and stuff like that, for a long time there was a trend. For a few years, last few years, there was a trend of these like social media houses coming up, where different famous social media influencers got together in a house. They all lived together, and they would try to promote each other on each other's content to grow and make more money. Micronations did things like that, we would be a lot further along. The fact that we don't is a problem. I think the way that Aeternia is specifically trying to structure itself and position itself is to find direct one-on-one allies that will do that, so that we're not kind of being undercut into a larger organization with its own completely separate goals and interests. We're hoping to do that for ourselves, but there's no reason that a micronational organization could not do that, and I'm surprised that I haven't seen more of that. There may be some of that I'm ignorant to, so please let me know. Chad asked, does Aeternia have an airsoft military? We do not, Chad. So we believe that war is stupid in the Empire of Aeternia. We have a video that talks about that. It's one of the more watched videos on the channel. I definitely recommend you check it out. It essentially says that things like micronational war, whether they're through airsoft battles or what have you, are kind of unnecessary. So it's not that you can't have them, but the risks and negatives outweigh the benefits. For example, it's added resources. So not just with airsoft, but with anything. If you're creating this military or militia or whatever you want to have, some sort of armed defense, even if it's in an online game or whatever, you're taking time and resources and you're allocating it to that. Which, if you are a fantasy nation, if you're fine with developing for the sake of this is what I want to do for fun, and it doesn't matter how much resources or whatever it takes up, that's inconsequential to why I do this, then that's completely fine. Do you? That's awesome. For those of us who are trying to establish realism and trying to develop to get recognition, it's not that you can't have a military or a militia or what have you, but it's added resources and time that is spent to something that, while it doesn't provide you a ton of benefit, it may provide some interest as far as recruitment. You may get some people who are gun lovers or preppers or whatever, really hype about joining. Other than that, it provides a lot of negatives. It's, again, added resources you have to spend to do events for things like that. Maybe you could raise money to do something like that. But as well, for everybody else who isn't really into, weapons culture, isn't really into, the idea of paramilitary organizations or, militias or what have you, it scares them. It's a concern. When you see a group of people that says, we're trying to be our own country, we're here in your backyard, and we have guns, and we're training with guns, that's very scary to people. It doesn't matter what your reasoning behind it is. It doesn't matter if you're saying, oh, I'm only using this for self-defense if it ever comes up on the occasion that it does. It's scary to people. That's concerning. There have been too many very, very popular, not popular as in positive, very, very infamous events in which a group of people, especially in the United States, have gotten together in a really small group and said, oh, I'm going to carry guns around and I'm going to, you know, stockpile them up in this little territory and the government's not going to come get me. That's the US government, I mean, specifically. That is very concerning to a lot of people. In the United States, it's concerning to people who have lived around that culture and the gun culture so much. For people in other countries who haven't before, that's an insane concept to them. So for whatever negatives you may experience in the United States, if you're a group that's in the United States, and the strange looks that you may get by having an army or militia and talking about that online, that's going to be tenfold the rest of the world over. So if you were truly somebody who was trying to get recognition, it is very, very important that you think about what it is that is important to you as far as how you're going to use your resources and whether you're going to waste those on things that are not providing a ton of benefit and aid for you. Whereas the other aspect of that is that you are trying to project an image of strength potentially, but you're doing so in a way that concerns people and makes them feel uneasy about joining something that is already odd to them, right? Micronations to somebody who just lives in a macronation, in a country that they've grown up in, that their parents have lived in, that their grandparents have lived in, and this is all the life they know. For most of us, that's been the case. So developing these micronations is interesting because you're trying to convince people, hey, change what you think about the way that you live to do something different. And there have been situations in the past, cults, you know, militias, things like that, that have had really, really dangerous and negative results, harmful results for the people who are a part of them. You know, and so you want to really openly and transparently explain what it is that you're interested in and stick to that. So for Aeternia, we don't have a military because we want people to feel comfortable and safe here. Though, you know, we like to be independent, and though we like to continue to push our independence more and more each and every day, we still have the ability to call the police in the United States, and they will come to wherever our properties are, wherever our residences are, to help keep the peace if necessary. As people within those territories, though that is something that we hope to eventually move away from. Right now, we cannot avoid that. So we have to use those things to our advantage. And because we're using those things, we don't have to, you know, have armed guards or anything like that on the properties that we have. We can provide benefits for ourselves without the need to concern people about what we're doing, without the need to project this weird strength thing. You can just be okay and just try to promote the positives that will benefit everybody, like food, housing, tech access to better technologies, access to better resources for creating things and being artistic, and you know, for performing and for cultural gatherings and things like that. Can I have a water? Oh, it's time? Oh, okay. I am being called to Simon, I am being called to dinner, everybody. Our view count just spiked from like 3 people to 6 people. Y'all are breaking my heart. I appreciate it though. Again, thank you guys for liking the video. I'm going to keep talking for a couple more minutes because I want to wrap this up, read a few comments, and then we'll get out of here. But to summarize, micronationalism can absolutely be like an RPG. Not in the sense that you're playing a game. People in micronationalism are so sensitive to the concept that you're calling my thing not real, because sure, you're trying to build something that people recognize and accept, and that's a pain point. That's sensitive. But if you tap into the fact that people like having fun, and you try to create a society that is serious and is pushing toward legitimate goals, but that does so in a way that makes people feel safe and comfortable and enjoyable and having fun, like an RPG adventure, like the thing that they want to go out and do, like these magical, wonderful realms that we can literally create to some extent. That is an insane opportunity. And it's something that we can do for a lot of good for a lot of people. So we shouldn't take that with a grain of salt. We should really, really think about the weight of that ability that we have and of what we're trying to do, what we're telling people that we're doing. So if you're not going to live by that in a way that is, if you're a realist, serious and dedicated, and also understanding what people want, then you're not building something that people need. You're not building something that serves that need. So that being the case, I appreciate you guys. Let me go ahead and read a few comments. Again, if anybody wants to become a citizen of the Empire of Aeternia, please do. I will post the link in the comments after the stream is over, and then I will go ahead and post a link in the description as well. So comments and description, check it out. Also, if you want to become a part of our Patreon, it would mean the world. We want to put more stuff out on our Etsy. We're trying to create some more aluminum products to put out into the general market in Alabama here. So we're trying to improve every day and get more things out to you guys. But the more that you can help us, the more you can see what's actually happening behind the scenes and how much we're doing versus the funnel of, constraining that down into YouTube videos and stuff for you guys. So if you want to help out, if you want to see the big picture, definitely join us. Chris said, devotion to establishing any form of military might is a waste of time, and I would imagine it's not in the interest of Eternia's purpose, but I won't speak for AP, of course. You were right, Chris. Hey, I appreciate it. Train says you are one of the few people to pronounce our name right. Of course. I'm proud to be friends with the Eldonian Empire. I'm glad you guys are hanging out with us today. And I appreciate you just spending time watching these streams. For all of you guys, if you know other people in this micronational community or just friends who might be interested in stuff like this, if you can direct them to our videos when we do them. Also, for you guys who are here, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you haven't turned on all notifications, make sure you do that. A lot of people don't get the notifications for our videos. And so if you hit that up, it helps us a lot. And it also helps us if you can share these things with your friends. If you tell more people about it and we get more people in these streams, we can hit monetization, 3,000 watch time hours. We're a little over halfway to that right now. And you guys are helping us chug along with that. So thank you. Chad said, hold up. Chris said, speaking of the gum, I can tell you as much that it's not doing anything of what you were saying it should. A self-perpetuating waste of time is what it is, but I digress. I'm sorry to hear about that, Chris. That sucks. Again, I think those things will find their way. It's tough. Chad said, rare and unnecessary, noted. Appreciated. Thank you, Chad. Train says, 3 of my friends and I were hanging out with that officially took over half of Adonia's capital for 30 minutes after I lost a fake lightsaber battle. But after those 30 minutes, we reclaimed it. Congratulations on your success reclaiming the capital. You wagered your capital in a fake lightsaber battle. Be careful with what you mess with, I guess. All that power is in your hand and you're losing it to lightsaber battles. But good luck to you, and I wish you the best in future battles. Maybe you can get trained by a true force user for that. State of Lincoln says hello, IP. Popped in to say hello. Thank you so much for being here, Stephen. It's great to see you, and I hope the State of Lincoln is doing well. State of Lincoln says, we're currently working on printing notes like imperial notes. There's only one denomination, so do you have any tips for that? For sure. What I used to do is I used to go to Office Depot, place like that, that has a really high quality printer. You don't have to do that, but it's the nicest for just doing paper currency. You can of course get some kind of special stock of paper, some specific type, there are gloss, there are photo papers and things that you can get that are really, really high quality. Or you could do it on like a, currency style paper. But all of that's getting more and more expensive. For us, took regular printer paper, went to somewhere like Office Depot to start out, high quality laser printer, got them to do just a bunch of them. And then we would use that as our stock to sell. It also made it nice because the ones are great because you can just administer out however many you need. And generally people aren't buying bulks of, hundreds or thousands. As well, when you talk about going further than that, we eventually, through the funding that you all have given us through our Etsy and through purchasing those Imperial notes, we're able to actually get a nice high quality laser printer for ourselves. So that's what we use now. The ink is outrageous, but it's pretty efficient. So we usually get through quite a few batches of notes before we have to buy more ink. But if you decide to go for your own printer, ink is always expensive, and keep that in mind. Weigh that out into the cost calculations for how much each of your notes are worth, or whatever it is that you create. But that being the case, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here and learning and talking with me, teaching me about micronationalism, because just as much as I like to come in here and say I know what's what, you guys teach me every day what this community is growing and developing into. So I appreciate that. Train says they were going to take it if I did or not. Oh, dang. So you were lightsaber battling for your life. Chris says food is getting cold, didn't it? Yep, I got called for dinner. They're waiting on me. My apologies, guys. I will have to go and head out, but I will see you all later. State of Lincoln said, I think whether I should use a picture since the stamp can only do so much detail. Taking inspiration from the Republic of Texas early notes, stuff like that. But thanks for the info. No problem. Good to see you, Vincent. Hope the state of Lincoln is doing well. Again, everybody, going to post the citizenship application in the comments and in the description. Please go check it out. Please support us on Patreon. If you have any disposable income at all, it means the world to us. I'm trying to make this like an everyday thing for myself. I'm trying to turn this into my job and my life's work. It already is. So thank you guys, and we will see you soon. Bye. Aeternia forever.